This is one of the many environments that we have created in our R&D center. One very unusual thing that you will find in this environment that you will generally not find anywhere, no matter how long you have been in agriculture, especially if you have been doing farming in India, is the color of the shade net. If you look at the color of the shade net, you will notice that we are using red color shade net here. Now, usually you will generally see a shade net of green color. That's the majority of the farms or the majority of shade net use that you will see. Or you would see shade net of white color, or in some rare cases you might also see shade net of black color. But red color would be very rare. So why we are using it? Let's take a pause and think about color. What is a color? A color of a surface is basically the wavelength or the color which it reflects, which it does not absorb. All other colors are absorbed by that particular surface. So a surface appears red to us because it is reflecting red and it is absorbing all other colors. Similarly, a surface appears green to us because it is absorbing all other wavelengths, but it is not absorbing green wavelength. Now, if I ask you a question, which color do you think are the leaves of the plants? These are green. So if leaves of the plants are green, there is a possibility, or in all probability, green color is being absorbed by the plants at a very low level as compared to other wavelengths. And the moment you are putting up a green shade net, what you are doing is you are absorbing all other wavelengths and you are only giving green wavelength, you are allowing it to go down, which any case the plants do not need. Doesn't make sense? Doesn't sound logical? Difficult to believe? Okay, let's park this thought for a moment. Let's think about indoor vertical farming. Have you ever seen indoor vertical farms where plants are grown using LED lights? Mostly those lights are purplish in color. They are purple in color because most of the wavelengths they are using are red and blue wavelengths, not green wavelengths. So when we are growing plants without sunlight, we know for sure that red and blue play a very important role. It doesn't mean green doesn't play a role. Green also plays a role. There are different wavelengths which play different role. But red and blue primarily play a very important role, and that's why most of the lights are towards red color. The shade comes as a mix of red and blue, which is purplish. Now, when the same plant is being grown in sun, if we can change the color of the shade net and make sure that the shade net absorbs other wavelengths and allows more of the red to fall on the plants, will it not help the plants the same way it helps the plants in indoor vertical farming? Now, does it make sense? To answer this very question, we have created these environments where we are growing the same plant side by side in two different environments which are connected with each other, one having a red shade net and the other having a white shade net. Theoretically, what the red shade net will do, the red shade net will increase flowering on the plant, that is number one. Number two, the red shade net will delay ripening of the fruit. So increasing flowering on the plant is a very easy to understand thing. If you have more flowers, that means you will have more fruits, that means you will have more yield. But what about delayed ripening? How does it help us? Now, if you talk about crops like tomato, once the plant, once the crop starts to ripen on the plant, you will need to harvest it, especially if you are transporting it long distance. Once the fruit of the crop has changed completely, like in this particular case, it's almost near ripened, or in this particular case, when the fruit has completely ripened. Now, this particular fruit will not grow in size anymore from here. If this ripening can, however, be delayed, what will happen? The fruit will keep on increasing its size. So let's say if the fruit was ripening in 4 weeks, if we can make sure instead of 4 weeks it ripens in 5 weeks, the ripening process gets delayed, then the fruit will have a chance of accumulating 20% more weight, which means 20% more yield. In case of cherry tomato, it may not be that relevant. It may only help us in increasing the yield from the farm. Instead of getting X kg, we might get X point 2 kg, which might increase our revenue by, let's say, 20%. But there are crops which sell by size where there are different gradings. For example, let's say if you are growing color capsicum, if the size is below X, then the price will be different, and if the size of the fruit is above X, then the price will be different. And if by just putting this small change in your farm, by putting a different colored shade net, we can influence the size of the fruit, it will be a great boon for all of us. I hope you find this information helpful. So far, the results we are getting are positive, and we will continue to experiment with different colors, different shade nets, different technologies, and we'll continue to share these experiments, the results of them with you, to make sure that we keep moving towards a sustainable and more profitable farming for all our farmers. Thank you, take care, and all the best.